I upgraded the player shield to deflect the lasers and deal damage back to the boss. So first I'll fix a bug with the space worm where if it dies before it's done teleporting, the portal doesn't disappear. So in the died function, I'll emit the close wormhole signal. So that'll fix that. So now it's not attacking immediately when it spawns. It waits a second. And it has the same problem when it splits the dragon into segments. So I'll go ahead and make a new function to use the laser. And so we'll copy all of that. And those as well. And then after it's added to the parent, we'll say top half dot laser and in build as well. And to fix the bottom half, we'll have to check what the attack phase currently is. So if attack phase is laser, call laser. This will just kind of reset it. Otherwise call charge. So then in here, because we don't want it to actually restart the animation or the timer, so we'll say if attack phase is not already charged, then play the animation and start the timer. And we'll do that in the laser function as well. And now when it spawns, it starts attacking immediately, so that's what we wanted. Now I want the head to smoothly rotate instead of instantly looking at the player, so I'll remove the position changed functions and add the process function instead. So the target angle is equal to the Derp star position dot angle to point, and then the bone global position. And then we'll set the bone global rotation to an interpolation, so lerp angle, and then the from is bone global rotation, the target angle, and then we'll set it to 0.05 on the weight, so it's kind of slow. And then in the space worm animation player, in the idle animation, we'll say wall segment dot next segment does not equal null. So this will exclude the head, so the animation won't be overwriting the head rotation. So now it turns to the player instead of instantly facing it. So the space worm was not using its laser attack after it teleported because I forgot to add it there. So now it'll actually use the laser after the charge. Now I'm going to refactor the boss laser. So I'll rename the laser script to beam, and then we'll detach this and attach it to the beam itself. So this is an area 2D now, and I'll remove beam from all the functions, or the calls. Like that, and then I'll attach a new script to the laser, so this will just pass the activate and deactivate functions along to the beam. Okay, and we'll make sure everything still works. Yeah. And now I can add the set length function to the beam. So if the length is greater than 1,000, we'll set the length to 1,000, so it can't get any longer than the maximum. And then we'll call set length of 500 on ready, so it should cut the length in half. So the gradient, I have the size set to 1,000 on the Y. This is the rect size property. So I'll set gradient dot rect size dot Y equals length. And with visible collision shapes enabled, if I run it again, so I can see the gradient has been shortened, but the collision shape and particles are still visible past, they're still the original length. So for the collision shape, it's a rectangle, and the extent, the x extent is half of the length. So this is shape.extents, and then the position is also half of the length. So we'll say collision shape dot shape dot extents dot x equals length over 2, and collision shape dot position dot x equals length over 2. Okay, so now the collision box is the proper length. So now for the particles, I'll make a new ratio, which is length divided by the maximum length. So currently the lifetime is 8.2 and the amount is 25. So the amount is 25 times ratio, and the lifetime is 8.2 times ratio. I can just set this directly. Oh, no, because I want to set it for both. So then we'll say particles 2D dot amount is amount, and lifetime and we'll do that for the other one as well. Okay. So now the laser is properly resized and the particles and the collision box are all lined up. Now I'm going to use raycasting to set the length of the beam when it hits the player shield. So first I need to get the collision mask of the energy shield. So I'll just print so this is set to 3 by default, but it's a bit mask in the form of an integer. So I can see the collision mask layer is 4 for the energy shield. Can delete that. In the space worm laser, I'll add a position 2D called endpoint, and we'll set that to x equals 1000, so it's at the end of the beam. Then in the laser, so this has to be in the physics process for raycasting, and so this is in the docs raycasting tutorial. So we'll copy this. Oh. Okay. Oh, we need to get world 2D. This is for 3D. Okay. So we'll go ahead and remove self, and we'll set the collision mask to 4. And then so this will start there, and it'll go to the end point. So then we'll say if the result is valid, essentially, then so the length will equal global position dot distance to result dot position. So then we'll set the beam length to length. Otherwise, we'll set the beam length to 1,000. Okay, so this should basically stop the beam when it collides with the shield. So, and we can see that it does. Next, we'll make the beam its own scene. So save branch. And then we'll drag another copy and call it deflect or whatever. So then in the deactivate, we'll call deactivate there. Call deactivate on ready. And then we'll also set the physics process so we can pause the script and it's not constantly running. Okay. So then if there's no collision on the raycast, I'll deactivate the deflect. Otherwise, we'll set deflect dot position x to the beam length, and then the deflect set length will be 1,000 minus length. Then to get the rotation, I found this very helpful answer on Reddit. So basically I need these two lines. So the raycast origin will be the laser global position, and the point will be result dot position. and then the normal is result.normal, and then we'll get dot angle, and we'll set this to deflect dot global rotation, and then I'll go ahead and activate the deflect. That should work. Let's see. Okay, it didn't crash. Oh, it's messing up the particles. Well, I can fix that later. But essentially, so there we go. Now when you push the shield, when you activate the shield, it reflects the laser beams back, and the player doesn't take damage. So that's really good. But they still take damage from the charge attack, so that's how it was intended. And finally, I'll add an export variable to the beam script for the source, and we'll just set it to string, so lowercase. Yeah. So now, in here, I can set the beam source to boss and the deflect source to player. And then in the process function, so we'll say damage is DPS times delta. So if source equals player and body and not body in group player, then the body will take damage, else if source equals boss and body is in group player, then body take damage. So the laser beam itself is just on layer 20, so we need to make it mask. We'll make the original one. Now I can make it mask to layer 1. I think. Let's see if this deals damage back to the space worm. Okay. Well, that kind of worked. So I still want it to deal damage to the bumpers. So we'll say and body dot has method yeah, has method take damage. That way it shouldn't throw an error anymore there. Now, so I'm going to take a look at the player laser. I've connected the body shape signals, which adds it to the damage shapes array and damages them in the process function. So I'll connect to those. And then we'll get the, well, I'll go ahead and copy these first. And we need the damage shapes array. So if it's a valid shape and the shape has method, has damage, then we'll say if source is player and it's not in the player group, then we'll append this to the damage shapes. So actually I can just put this all in one array, or one if statement. And then here we'll just have the generic erase, since it doesn't throw an error if it's not already there. And then in the process function, we'll say for shape in damage shapes, if it's still valid, then it will take damage. Otherwise, remove it from the list. So maybe this will work. Oh, look at that. And it did some damage. Cool. I want the mana shield to also take damage, so I'll mask the beam area on layer 3 as well. And then we'll say if body's in group player, or it's in player shield, then it takes the damage. So see, and now the energy bar is going down really fast because it's absorbing the damage. Alright, thank you for watching this update and have a great day.